Hey everyone, remember me? I'm the guy that used to make a podcast every week, but it's been about a month this time. Dropped the ball a little bit and I've been crazy busy, which I'll talk about, so I haven't really gotten time to doing a podcast, but here we are. And yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. I just had the TikTok Awards that every frog and their dog was invited to, so flew over to Sydney for that. Any excuse I can get for a holiday I'll take, really. So I went over to Sydney for a few days, had a good time, got some good photo ops, did a bit of networking. I've actually got a meeting scheduled with a manager. I'm about to get under management for my social media content creation, because now that's like pretty much a full-time income for myself, which is cool. And I'm going to do a whole episode about how to leverage social media and get better at that, and get brand deals and get recognized and grow your business as a byproduct of that as well. But that'll be a different thing. So the TikTok Awards was cool, met a lot of cool people. And then I flew back to Perth and I had the Business Awards 24 hours later. And so it's currently Tuesday and we had the awards on Saturday, and we were nominated for 6 awards. So we were a finalist in 6 categories, and I'm very pleased to say we won all 6 awards that we were nominated for. So very, very cool. And I don't know if this is accurate, but I was told that in the 31 years they've been running these awards, no business has won every single award. So if that's true, that's very cool. I'm very proud of the team and myself for how far we've come. It's very endearing to do these things. And I encourage anyone, if you have the opportunity to enter an awards thing, or if you get invited to apply for something, you should do it, because it's a good mental exercise and it's good to look back on your journey in business. And just give yourself a pat on the back and be grateful and be proud of where you've come from and how you've gotten there. And yeah, that's my Slack going off if you can hear that. So we're going to mute that. And yeah, if you get the opportunity, definitely apply. It's a good mental exercise, because you'll look back and you won't realize just how much progress you've made in, a short period of time, because these awards, they get you to look back on the last, 12 months of your business usually. And so you go back and you revisit things and you look at the problems you've solved and the things you overcame and the progress you made in terms of your numbers and your revenue and your team growth. So it's a really good thing to do, and it's obviously really good for your brand image if you win awards, and it's good for the CV. We actually won a lot of stuff because we won Business of the Year. I don't know if I'd mentioned that, but yeah, we won Business of the Year, so the overall category, the big award, we won that. And because we won that, we got free radio advertising, like thousands of dollars of free radio advertising from the major sponsor. We got some other stuff, which I don't even know what we won yet. And so it's really cool. And it's just good for you to be able to advertise that. And it's just another point of difference or advantage for you in the marketplace. So yeah, and I don't know if it's noticeable, but I have lost my voice. I've been to one too many parties, or social events as I'll call them, in the past couple of weeks. And my body, my brain, and clearly my larynx has just given up at this point. So I'm going to try to make it through a whole episode without croaking like a frog, and we'll see how we go. So yeah, it's December now. We are supposed to be going into our quiet season and dialing things back for the end of the year, but it has been anything but quiet. We've experienced our biggest month ever in terms of lead volume and inquiries and quotes and sales in the month of November than any other month this year and any other month in the history of our business. So it's just unprecedented. We haven't seen any sort of growth like this before. And just when I think things can't get any bigger or grow any faster, they do. And it's because it's like a culmination of all the different things that we've been doing for the past 6 years in business. It's all snowballed into this one giant mechanism that is just now flooding with leads. It's like the floodgates have opened with, we've got 400 clients now, and they're all referring, and all their friends and family are booking us. And we've got so much SEO and goodwill built up in the marketplace. And so people are just searching on Google and finding us, and people just know the name. And so whenever someone thinks of a cleaner in the areas we service, they think of us. And we're just getting to that point where, we're getting like 10 leads a day, like 10 people that have booked, not even just leads, 10 people that are booking quotes, 10 people that are raising their hand and saying, I want you guys to clean my property, give me a price. And we cannot keep up with it. I would love to say that I've got a great system for it and we figured it out and we can keep up with the demand, but we simply haven't. So I've had to put my problem-solving hat back on, and the past couple of weeks I've just been creating some new systems to try to alleviate the pressure on us, the management team, to be able to keep up with this and hopefully fulfill and deliver on what's coming through. So two of the big dominoes, and you'll hear me talk about, knocking down the big domino that's going to knock down a lot of other small ones and get a lot done with very few actions or inputs. So I've kind of distilled everything down to two things that we really need to work on. So Stacey, my operations manager for Bunbury, which is my largest location in the business. We have 3 locations, technically 2 locations, but Perth is split into 2. So we have Perth and Bunbury. Perth is split into 2 locations. Bunbury is its own location. So technically 3. If you know Perth, you know it's a very spread out city. It's the most spread out city in the world, to my knowledge. But anyway, Stacey and I meet every week and we just talk regularly, but we have a formal official meeting every week. And we just talk about how things are. We talk about the past, we talk about the present, and we talk about the future for the business. And so we've been really masterminding over what we can do about this ridiculous amount of volume that's coming through. And she can't keep up with it in Bunbury. I can't keep up with it in Perth. And we're really just drowning. And our wait list is now over, like 200 people long. And there's over $100,000 a year. Am I right about that? No, more. There's like $300,000 or $400,000 a year worth of clients just sitting in our wait list because we haven't been able to keep up with it. And so we're doing a few things. One is we're going to be scaling up our ad spend for hiring staff. So the only money we spend on ads is to hire employees. So we're just going to raise the budget on that and hope that the output is 2 or 3x. And with the current hiring and onboarding system we have, we should be able to keep up with that demand and, realistically double our hiring output as long as we have double the input. So we're going to be doing that, hopefully just onboarding people quicker and at a higher rate so that we can service the things that are coming through. Now, the second thing is scheduling is or has been quite a big bottleneck for us as well. So we're a business with over 50 employees and things are changing every day, every hour, and every week the schedule has to be set. And it's a very big ordeal and it takes hours and hours of Stacey's time, and it's not really something that before could be done by someone like a VA. It had to be someone on the ground who knew the team very well, knew the clients very well, and there was seemingly no workaround for that. So I was just racking my brain for weeks. And I mean, it's been in the back of my mind for months and months. But the past few weeks, I've just really been working out how I can create a system that will give us a good workaround or a solution for this. And so I came up with this idea for an AI agent that would be fully trained to do all of our scheduling for us. So what we've done is, what I've done is I've created an AI agent that has been fed our entire history of scheduling. So the past, few years of scheduling, it's been fed all of that information. So it has context, it has history for our business and our schedule. We've given it a full list of our employee data. Everything about our employees is stored in this AI agent. And we gave it a bunch of prompts. We gave it a bunch of context and a bunch of, criteria and metrics. And so I've trained this AI agent to, if we feed it a schedule for next week, if we just give it the blank unassigned schedule for next week with all the clients, we tell it based on previous history and all this staff information that you have on file, set the schedule for next week in accordance with that. And it's actually better than a human now. It's better than anything Stacey or I could do. And it's now being done quicker. It's now condensing like 10 hours of scheduling every week into like 10 minutes. Because now one of our virtual assistants can just do that prompt and then, mix and match whatever it tells you to do. Like it's pretty much just like a Lego set at this point. Like it spits out everything. It gives you the instructions. The VA just drags and drops everything in the schedule and then sends it to the manager for approval. And, it's just perfect every time. So there's really nothing to really approve. And it also has the added benefit of, because it's AI and because it's got this superhuman level intelligence, this supercomputer intelligence, it's matching routes better than we ever could have. So it knows where the cleaners live. It knows how far away they are from their cleans. And so it's putting the most optimal routes or routes for cleaners to travel, which is making it easier for the employees because they don't have to travel so much. And it's also alleviating the travel reimbursements that we have to pay. So it's keeping our expenditures lower too, which is increasing our profit overall. So it's a win-win-win. We're saving time. We're giving more time freedom back to the management, which is basically just me and Stacey and her second in charge. We're decreasing our costs because the AI is able to create the most optimal travel routes for the employees, and the employees are happier as well because they don't have to travel so much, and it's just a flawless system. So that was one of the big dominoes we had to knock over. It's still kind of in beta testing, so there's still going to be some tweaks that I'm going to make, but it's pretty much there. Like it's the concept is there. We've tested it. It's working. We're very happy with it. It's not something I ever thought would be possible, but it ended up being really, really easy. If you know much about AI agents, you'll know how easy they can be to make. It just takes a little bit of time. So that's done now. And the other big domino as well was just our time to quote, because like I said, we'll get like 10 to 20 quotes a day. And, imagine trying to do an in-person quote for 20 people in a day. That would be a full-time job in itself, plus some. And so we very, very quickly fell behind, and our time to quote was diminishing rapidly. We weren't getting back to people quickly. We were taking days, sometimes a week to respond because our quote list was just off the charts and we simply couldn't keep up. And it's bad because it loses trust with the marketplace, and it's bad for your reputation as well when you take so long to get back to potential customers. So it was a big problem. And of course, we're leaving that much money on the table, which again isn't good for business. So there was some things that had to be done there. So over the past week or so, I've been just nonstop working on a solution for that. I've created it now, so we've used a bit more AI. We're hiring another VA that's just going to be like full-time quoting and scheduling, and they're going to report to our other VA, who's also going to report to the operations manager. So there's going to be a little chain of command there. And I thought about automating the whole process with AI, like a high-level sequence, but I think, with something as important as sales, if you can avoid automation and instead have a human doing it, then you're going to have more control, more accuracy on the quotes, and also you're going to have that human element added into it. So I chose not to use AI for like the entire process. I know a lot of people will use AI where the AI bot will respond to the quote and like all the way through to booking them in for a clean. It'll just take over. But basically what we've done is we're going to be hiring another VA that's going to be responding to people straight away. So as soon as the quote comes in, it goes to this consolidated Slack channel that we have. It notifies that VA. That VA then goes to an SOP inside of our Notion database, and it takes them through a process on like what the initial point of contact should be, based on the answers they gave in the quote, because it's like a form and they have to answer a bunch of questions. This is what you do next. This is the pricing estimate calculator that you use. So you put in like how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many people live in the home, the current state of the home, the square meterage, and then it'll give you a price estimate that gets sent to the customer. And then the other VA takes over and we'll call them up because she's really good on the phone and she knows the business inside out, nurtures them a little bit, and then we'll either book them in for an in-person quote or meeting with Stacey once they've been pre-qualified and they pretty much become a customer at that point, or we just book them straight into the schedule. So we've created a whole new workflow for that. We've consolidated everything. So we've got 8 different channels where leads can come through. We've got our contact form on the website. We've got the booking form. We've got the calendar where people can book an in-person quote. We've got, Instagram and Facebook. There's just so many places where people can become a lead. And so we've consolidated all of that. We're putting all of that into one Slack channel. We've created one SOP, one system that houses or that encompasses all of those different channels. And that's the other big domino that we're knocking over, that's going to inadvertently knock over a lot of other little ones in the process. So yeah, that's been my past couple of weeks. And that's kind of the role that I take now. I tackle problems as they come up. We're obviously doing bigger and better things every year, and at this point, pretty much every month. And so with that kind of growth comes new opportunities, but also new challenges. And so I'm basically a professional problem solver for my business now. That's essentially my role. So this is my first time doing this. I've never, the first time I crossed $1 million, that was my first time crossing $1 million. Okay. The time I crossed, 200,000 a month, that was my first time crossing that threshold. This is my first time having 50 people. This is my first time having all these different problems. So I am constantly just learning. I am a student of this game. I don't know any better than any of you listening. We're pretty much all in the same boat. I'm just a little bit further along down the stream, and I'm trying to figure it out and fight my way through. And there's not many people who have kind of been in this exact position. There's a lot of people that can give good quality insight based on their own experiences in their business, but there aren't really many people that have been in this position. There's not many big cleaning companies that have built companies this big just in the residential space using employees. They're usually a contractor model, or they just don't do residential altogether. So we're kind of paving our own way essentially, and being trailblazers, which is both fun and exciting, but also scary because we don't know what we're doing. And I'm still figuring things out. And I humbly say that, there's a lot of stuff I've tried that hasn't worked. I've tried hiring certain people in management that haven't worked out. There's systems I've created that I spent 100 hours on, and they just never even got used in the end because they weren't right. But the big principle here is just to have the right mindset, and the most important thing is to have the right attitude that's postured towards learning and growing, and just having that humility to say that I don't have the answer, but I'm going to strive for it. I'm going to work damn hard to get it done, and I'm not going to shut myself off from getting help. If I feel the need for help, I'm going to ask people, and I'm just going to let down my defenses and embrace everything that is new and unknown in the business. And furthermore as well, making sure that you have clear goals, and not only a goal, but a plan for achieving said goal. No matter how big it is, no matter how small it is, if your goal is to make $1 million next year, if your goal is to create an AI scheduling agent, what is the plan to achieve that goal? Because a goal without a plan is just a wish. That's a quote I love. I forgot who it's from, but I love it. So we're nearing the end of 2025. It's been a crazy year. It's gone by very fast. And I don't know what kind of year you've had, if it's been good, if it's been bad, if it's left you feeling elated, or if it's left you feeling disappointed. But don't let next year, don't let 2026 just pass you by. Create clear goals, create clear plans, and create a clear vision for what you want to achieve, and then set out to achieve that. And I mean really sit down and map all of this out. I went to a workshop yesterday in Perth. It was called the Plan Your Year event, Plan Your 2026 event, with Tim Frey and Stephanie from Success School. So I did a full day seminar just planning out 2026 for my business. So it is very, very important. I implore you to sit down, open up a notebook, and just write down what you want to achieve, how you're going to get there, and also look at the past. even though it's confronting and it's scary and, sometimes shameful to look at the past year you had in business, but the past is an indicator for your future. So if you can look at all the problems you have, all the problems you had this year, all the challenges you faced, all the wins you had, look at everything, give a holistic view to your entire year in business, and then take some of that data, take some of that information and apply it to your planning and goal setting for next year. If you don't have goals, simply, you cannot achieve them. And so you need goals, but you also need a plan to achieve those goals. Otherwise, it's just wishful thinking. So that's your homework for this week. I hope you've had a great week and a great year. This is just a reminder as well that I am not infallible. I'm not just a whiz kid in the world of business. I wasn't born with a silver spoon or a ridiculously high IQ or level of intelligence for this. I've been doing this for 6 years now. The first 3 years weren't amazing. I was just hustling, but I got smarter, I adopted a better mindset, and I really applied myself and thought more intuitively and more innovatively, and ultimately that's paid off long term. And anyone listening to this can do the same thing. So yeah, I am just as human as the rest of you. I'm no smarter than anyone listening to this. In fact, I'm probably a lot dumber than a lot of you people. So if I can do it, you can do it. But it starts with your attitude and your mindset and with your planning and your goal setting as well. So do that. And with that being said, thanks for listening to another episode of Self-Made. I have a very, very special guest lined up for the 100th episode, which I'm very excited for. And I'm going to be hiring a studio for that and doing a proper sit-down video interview. So yeah, I'm very, very stoked and very, very excited. It's someone that's very special to me and has played a big role in my business journey, and is also just like an incredibly prolific person and just an absolute legend in the world of business. So that'll be a really fun episode for me to film, and it'll be a really good one for you to listen to. So look forward to that, and I'll see you next time.